Salute.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another very special edition of Sessa's Corner. And this week, I have the honor of coming to you from the beautiful Villa Vittoria restaurant in Brick, New Jersey. And I am joined this week as my special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Newark native and Atlantic City headliner, the one and only, my dear friend, Gerard Esposito, the man who brings to us one man, one voice, and always one great show, the man who since the early 80s has been bringing us songs from Vegas to Broadway. Gerard, welcome to Sessa's Corner, and thank you so very much for this opportunity to sit down with you. We just had an incredible meal.
Wonderful meal.
And we're stuffed and we're having so much fun, talking about, the old days and your wonderful career. And we're going to talk more about things and everything at this particular point in time. And this is such an honor. And I have, seen many of your performances over the years. And, since 1998, you have over 6,000 shows under your belt.
That's true.
I mean, that's just an incredible feat, to say the least. And let's kind of start there, if I may. I mean, just with that alone, and before we kind of go back and talk about how it all began, talk about the fact that 6,000 plus shows and counting, of course, under your belt.
God's willing.
Absolutely. Tell us, how does that make you feel when you take a moment to reflect 6,000 plus shows with so much, of course, more to come?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And welcome to the viewers. Many of you I probably know. It's just an amazing thing that when you think about it, having that much work behind you, meeting so many incredible people through my career. A lot of folks have passed on before us, and people that I meet every day. I make new friends every time I perform, and it's just an amazing thing. It's a feeling that it's indescribable. Actually, you can't describe it.
I can imagine, and they call you, and I love this phrase, and they call you a singer's singer, and that has such a tremendous ring to it, As I said, we're coming from Villa Vittoria. This is almost like a home away from home for you. You perform here every week. I mean, tell us a little bit about your weekly performances here and how long it's been.
Well, here in Villa Vittoria, it's hard to believe, but I've been here 14 years.
Well, a decade and a half, practically.
Yeah,
Wow.
14 years. Almost all of my venues that I've ever worked, I've had long-term relationships with. I was at the Meadowlands Plaza Hotel at La Regia at Sea Caucus. I was there for about 13 years. Here 14 years. Aqua Blue, where I'm currently now on Wednesday nights. I think I'm going on my 7th or 8th year there. I was at formerly the old Savor, Luna de Rosa. I was there for 10 years. So I had long-term relationships, and so it continues to grow. Obviously, with COVID-19, I have a reduced schedule. My shows at resorts have been postponed, but I'm fortunate enough at least to keep it working through this COVID-19 pandemic that we have here. So I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Absolutely, and having been an attendee of many of your shows, most recently a couple months ago, my beautiful wife and I had the pleasure of going to Bella Luce in Nutley, where you put on a tremendous show. We had a lovely dinner that night, and we listened to you, and it was a nice, easygoing crowd, and we had a wonderful evening. And of course, I love the way you have that special connection with your fans and with the audience, how you work the room and during the course of your performances as well as in between sets, and you have such a special connection. Tell us about the very special connection that you have with your audience, your fans.
Well, first of all, Bella Luce is one of my favorite places to work.
Great place.
A lot of folks that I've known for years come and see me there from North Jersey. And the connection between myself and the folks that come and see me, it's more like a friendship. I don't go to work. I don't go to work. I go to perform for my friends. That's the way I look at it. No matter where I'm working, that's the way I feel about when I get up in the morning. I'm going to go see my friends, and that's how I look at it. And that's actually the way it is. You know, because no matter where I work, whether it's a resorts in Atlantic City or any local place, I make friends, and people come back to see me. So it doesn't take me long to make friends. I tell you that right now. I'm a hugger and a kisser. So this pandemic is really killing me. You know, I can't hug and kiss like I always do.
Tell me about it. I'm the same way. I definitely was not cut out for social distancing. It's killing me also. Doing my best with it. It's an ongoing work in progress, to say the very least.
Yes.
And you know, you mentioned about, you know, performing, looking at it as you're performing for your friends, which is reality, because that's what you're doing. And there's, of course, that famous old expression, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I think you're living that each and every day, and God bless you.
I haven't worked for 20 years.
There you go.
Think about it.
That says it all right there. But now let's kind of take it back, if we could. And, you know, like so many others, it all started for you, of course, in the legendary city of Newark, where you grew up. And let's take a few minutes to kind of talk about, the old neighborhood, if you will. Talk about how it was to grow up in Newark, especially, of course, the famous old First Ward, and how and when your love for music began.
Well, I don't think you have enough time.
I figured as much, but let's give it the old college try.
I am, as most of us are, who were born in certain neighborhoods that you have an infinite affection for. I was born in the old First Ward, like you said, on Cutler Street, 43 Cutler Street. I was born in the house where my parents lived. Aunts and uncles lived in the same 6-family house. And I fell in love with the music probably around, I was about 3 or 4 years old. My mother sang. My mother was a phenomenal singer. Most of my uncles were all professional musicians. So during the holidays, they would all wind up at my parents' house, and who would have the mandolin, who would have the cornet, and the music was always in the house. So that's how my ear was attracted to it.
You were basically surrounded by it.
I was surrounded by music. And then the Beatles came. And the Beatles came in 1963, 64. And I became a Beatle freak, fanatic. I had the Beatle wig, the boots, the whole 9 yards. And I would go around the neighborhood, all the gin mills, which we know as bars.
Of course.
Showing my age. And places like that, candy stores and stuff, but they had jukeboxes. And I would always mimic the words to the Beatles songs. And guys used to pay me. They used to pay me to stand on a soda box, and I would sing with the Beatles songs, and they give me money. I probably made more money than my old man at the time, to tell you the truth. And so we couldn't afford a guitar or any kind of music lessons at the time. So my father, this is a true story, rest his soul, he had a baseball bat, and he put a chain from one end to the other to use as a guitar strap.
You gotta talk about improvising.
And I would go around with this baseball bat, mimicking it as a guitar, and I would do all the Beatles songs. The guys would put money in the jukebox, and I'd be there for hours.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I made quite a few pennies on that thing, to tell you the truth, doing that. So that's how it all started. Then my brother Anthony, former Newark police officer detective,
yes,
retired now, as some folks know. He always went out to Las Vegas or all over the places, New York, Chili's, and he was an avid fan of Frank Sinatra. And he would see Sinatra. He would fly out to Vegas and see him at the Sands, and then come back with the autographs, stories, the albums. And then I got an ear for the Sinatra genre, and it just started going from there. I would start to sing at family weddings and things of that nature. And then I would go to work in other places, Atlantic City and stuff like things of that nature. And it just kept escalating, thank God. And hopefully I'm not at the peak yet, and we can continue to go on.
Well, there's no doubt that you're going to continue to go on, and you know, we have a lot in common with, you know, with a lot of the things that you just said. I mean, my love for Sinatra and his music stems from my father being an avid Sinatra fanatic. He exposed me at a very young age to the Sinatra music, and talk about getting an ear for it. I mean, you know, it was basically a criteria, and you know, in my household growing up, you know, and of course my family comes from the same roots. Especially my father's side. You mentioned Cutler Street.
Yeah.
My father grew up 90 Cutler Street, and so not that far from where you grew up.
We're 43.
And then they moved from Cutler to Park Avenue, but so extremely similar roots. And my mother and her side of the family was from the old Down Neck area. So I had the best of both worlds in terms of, you know, I grew up in Belleville, and then but I had the Down Neck area of Newark and First Ward on the weekends. So you talk about the best of two worlds there. Nothing like it.
Nothing like
it. And I tell you, you mentioned about Sinatra. Now, as you say, things gradually unfolded for you, and kind of one thing led to another. When did it officially begin, as far as you like formally performing at, you know, different actual, you know, full-fledged paid performances and at venues and things of that nature?
Well, around the late 90s, I would say. I did many things. I had, along with my brother, we had a couple of restaurants, family plumbing business. I managed commercial real estate, and I tell you, I was miserable. I was miserable. So my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, my wife Margaret, she says, "You got to do something. You're not happy. You got to do something." So I said, "I'd really like to go back into the music business."
There you go.
And she says, "Well, just do it well, and
dive right in,
and we'll go from there."
Yeah.
And so she was the one that got me back into it, you know. And so, and then it would just I started working places. My main place was La Regia at the time, at the Meadowlands Hotel, which was the premier venue at the time. And I got hired there, and Pat Gallo was working at the Meadowlands Hotel at La Regia. And most people know Pat Gallo. He was an icon, Las Vegas entertainer all around the world. Ed Sullivan Show. He was just an amazing man. And I was playing at La Regia. Pat would do the dining room from like 7 to 9 or 7 to 10. And then I would open up the lounge from 10 o'clock to maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. And Pat would always, after he was done, he would try to find the front row table. And he would sit there. This went on for weeks. And he would sit there and he would just listen. He'd never talk to me. I was actually afraid of him. He had the persona about him. God rest his soul. And
intimidating.
A very intimidating man, and I admired him very much. My wife and I was my girlfriend at the time, Margaret. We used to go see Pat play there at La Regia on my days off, and he was a powerful man, phenomenal trumpet player, comedian, and a marvelous vocalist. And he had the Sinatra nuances down to a T. And so he would always sit at the front table, and I would be a little intimidated. Until one night, he called me over to his table. I took a break, called me over, and he called me Kid. He says, "Hey, Kid," he says, "you got the juice."
Talk about magic words.
Yeah. I said, "Gee, thank you, Mr. Gallo." I said, "No, don't call me Mr. Gallo. It's Pat." And ever since then, he was kind of a mentor to me.
There you go.
You know, and so I followed his nuances. I followed his kind of style a little bit, always trying to make it my own. I never really wanted to be an imitator of anybody. So I developed my own style. And Pat was very instrumental in that regard. And later in his life, I shared a lot of my music that I had made for myself. I shared with Pat because this was quality kind of stuff, and only Pat could appreciate it. So I shared a lot of stuff with Pat. That was a great start for me to work at the Meadowlands Hotel and have Pat kind of like nudge me. It was a great start.
That's an absolute wonderful story, extremely inspiring, and it goes to show you that sometimes somebody who you may initially perceive as being out of your reach or intimidating, as we said, can turn out to be, that friend or that mentor that kind of, helps guide you on a path to success. And it sounds like that's exactly what transpired in your case, and that is a wonderful, wonderful story.
Well, I was also fortunate to team up with a gentleman who is, to me, he's a musical genius, John Lepore. He's a writer, arranger. We worked many years together, providing music for me live and recorded. And John Lepore was very instrumental in getting me looked at, because we would take a normal song and John would add, for instance, he would add some French horns here, a little bell that you never heard before in a song.
A little tweaking here and there,
which kind of made my material a lot different than everybody else's. It's what he
made
called
it stand out.
What he called, he says, it separates the men from the boys.
Yep.
So I'm an instrument. I work with some great people. Great people.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And you are, of course, very well known for performing, the music of Sinatra, and of course, other legends like Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin, Bobby Darin, Paul Anka, Tony Bennett, Engelbert Humperdinck.
That's my man.
Barry Manilow. Basically, you name it, Frankie Valli, you name it, you've done it. And talk about legends, obviously, legendary artists and performers, and you perform their music so perfectly, because I've heard it, I've seen it, I've experienced it. But how does it feel to perform the music of these legends? And in the process, you're essentially becoming, as far as I'm concerned, without question, and I know many people that will attest, becoming a legend in your own right.
I appreciate the kind words, but to answer the core of the question, I'll give you a perfect example. When I perform at resorts at the Superstar Theater, so many stars have worked on that stage from years gone by. Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Don Rickles, you name the icons, and they were there.
They've been there.
And Resorts was so kind to me, to when I started working there through my agent. They gave me the Sinatra dressing room, which is dressing room number 1.
Oh wow!
Which is a great honor.
Oh.
I think my agent had a lot to do with that, Craig NEIER. I think he had a lot to do with that. But they gave me, ever since then, I've always worked in Sinatra's dressing room number 1. And to perform on that stage and sing the songs of all these iconic entertainers is a feeling that, like I said before, is indescribable. It's indescribable. I had the good fortune of working with Engelbert one time at Resorts. I was doing about 14 shows, what we call a residency, at Resorts, and they needed to give me a break. I'm joking with this part of it, but they brought in Engelbert. Engelbert had a date there, and it was right in the middle of my tour over there, and it was a Saturday night, and so I had to be vacated from my dressing room because they had to give it to Engelbert. So it was kind of funny, and so I leave the dressing room, for that night's show and get it ready for Engelbert for the next show on Saturday. And I had a show the very next afternoon, a matinee on a Sunday. Engelbert was there the night before, and I remember walking on that stage, and I always include an Engelbert song. To me, as a performer, Engelbert is actually my favorite entertainer. That's surprising to some people because I do a lot of Sinatra genre,
Yes.
but Engelbert is my favorite entertainer. And to be on that stage and introduce the song After the Lovin', which is what triple platinum. And in those days, when that came out in 1977, 78, you literally had to go to the store and buy that record. You
better
couldn't
believe it.
download it like you do today.
Yep.
You know, you
A
couldn't
whole
do that.
different era back
A whole
then.
different era.
Old
And
45s.
Imagine to go triple platinum when you had to get up and go to the store and buy it. So
That was a routine back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember standing on that stage and introducing this song that I was about to do, After the Lovin', and feeling the sensation of knowing that that entertainer was just on right in the very same spot that I was, just hours before.
Isn't that something?
You know what I mean? And getting to meet him and things of that nature, it was just incredible, just incredible.
I can only imagine After the Lovin' is one of my all-time favorite songs.
It's a staple.
And I mean, I remember the show that my wife and I attended at Bella Luce. You came around, you were asking people for requests, and I requested that for you to sing for us.
Yeah.
And at the time, you deferred to your good friend and good friend of mine as well, Bobby D'Angelo
He's another
of
one
Park
like that.
Avenue,
He's a
who
pal.
performed it that night so wonderfully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a song that just will always live on forever, to say the very least. And I'm also a big Engelbert Humperdinck fan. My mother is a diehard. You know, she was a fanatic with Humperdinck, like my father was for Sinatra. You know, so you talk about a combination there. Now, at the risk of putting you on the spot, because I'm sure this is going to be hard, but maybe it's not as hard as I think. But with all the great songs that you've performed of all of these iconic artists and so on and so forth, if you had to pick your favorite song of all to perform, what comes to mind? Could you even pick out a favorite or the favorite that you like to perform?
An Engelbert song called Love Is All. It's on one of my CDs, which, by the way, you go to my website, GerardEsposito.com. You talk about cheap plugs, huh?
There you go. Hey,
And,
no
you-
time like the present,
You'll
Gerard.
see all my CDs there. It's a wonderful Engelbert song called Love Is All. And that's probably my favorite song to sing. The lyrics are just, like they say in the business, they don't make them like that anymore.
No, not at all. You know, there's another Humperdinck song that I always loved as a kid that my mother would play over and over again. The Man Without Love. Man Without Love.
Yeah.
It's neck and neck with After the Lovin', in my opinion, as far as his top songs. And I'm sure you're familiar with it.
That's a crowd favorite.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
it
I
is.
get the crowd, especially when we work at like in Atlantic City or wherever in those larger venues. You get the crowd to sing that along that chorus with you. You know, they're raising their hands and they're singing with you. It's incredible. That song is phenomenal.
It's an incredible feeling, invigorating, and just so much fun, to say the least. Now, we talk about some of the venues. The resorts, another home away from home for you.
Yeah, it's my home. Yeah.
At least until, of course, this year with the COVID pandemic. But of course, you'll be back there stronger and bigger and better than ever.
God's will.
As things improve. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before that occurs. But in terms of all the different venues that you've been at, Jilly's Piano Bar in New York, of course, Sinatra's bar as it's called as well. You've become a house favorite there. As we mentioned here at Villa Vittoria, you're a regular every week, every Friday night, 7:30. The resorts, as we mentioned, you've been, of course, over the years, in Santa Barbara, Lake Tahoe, Vegas. You've been all over. I mean, is there one venue that you've performed at thus far? That sticks out above the rest.
Well, of course, you'd have to say, to perform at resorts, the oldest casino in Atlantic City, with all the icons that work there and the phenomenal people that work there, the staff, the people that run the theater, the hotel. I mean, they're just, they're incredible people. They're very warm, loving people. Outside of that, I don't have a particular favorite, so to speak, because each venue, each night, it's a different venue. I try to make the venues a little bit different than the other.
Yeah.
As far as crowd is concerned and things of that nature. But I've been here at Villa Vittoria for 14 years. What we've established here, particularly on a Friday night, it's like no other. It's like no other. I could say that confidently. And same thing with Aqua Blue, where I work on Wednesday nights. When I was at the Meadowlands Hotel. I mean, so every venue I've ever worked in my entire life holds a special place for me. Because whether it helped my career, or whether it was new people that I met, they were all significant in their own little way. And so I don't have a quote unquote favorite. I think it's all bundled into a family package.
Wonderful, what I mean? Absolutely wonderful. And I can only imagine, I haven't had the pleasure yet of attending one of your shows here at Villa Vittoria. Rest assured, I will definitely be planning to do so along with my wife in the very, very near future. And
we'd love to have you.
It's an incredible place. And, we've had such a wonderful afternoon here. Are there any venues that come to mind that you have always wanted to perform at, that you have not yet had the opportunity to perform at, that you can think of that you would like to maybe hopefully have the opportunity one day to perform in?
We're hopefully going to go back to Las Vegas. I mean, I think that's a thing now. I'd like to go back there and kind of open up a little market there for myself. I know the market is there. So that's something we're actually in the works of doing, actually.
Wonderful.
COVID-19 put a little kibosh on it, but yeah, that's a little project that we've been working on. And so I think by the time of mid next year, the end of next year, I think we'll have some information on that. So you just pulled a little secret out of me,
but that's all right. Well, then I'm doing my job, right?
You're doing
there you
your
go.
Job. You're a great interviewer.
And I'm sure that the details and the information to come on that will eventually be highlighted and available on your website, again, GerardEsposito.com.
I'm going to give you the exclusive.
Oh, there you go. Well, thank you very much. I would say that deserves another toast there. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your generosity on putting me on your platform. I appreciate it.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Now, over the years, I know that you've had the pleasure of, being an opening act for so many different legendary performers and groups, and shared the stage with, the Duprees, the Drifters, Larry Chanson, the Earls, yep, George Benson, etc. Tell me about those experiences, sharing the stage with, those legendary, incredible performers.
They're actually not that special. Because you hardly get to meet them.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's an honor to be with them, or to open for them, or to mostly share the stage with them on the same bill, so to speak. That's an honor. But my favorite ones to perform with are my good friends, the fabulous Duprees. I got to tell you, those guys,
love them.
They are such lovable guys. Tony Testa and Tommy Tillo and those guys. They're just they embraced me. I do a lot of summer concerts through LaGuardia and Associates. John Alati, who's maybe some people know. A lot of people know. A lot of people want to get to know him, I should say. So, he puts me on the bill of doing some summer concerts whenever I can, because my schedule's, quite full. Thank God. Thanks to everybody out there. My favorite people to work with are the Duprees. We have such a wonderful time together. Before the show, you know what I mean? I don't get a chance to see their show a lot, because normally I open up for them, or we share the stage together, and then I'm off and I have to go to another venue. But before that, if there was a fly on the wall, it would be a comedy show. So they're a great bunch of guys. Which, by the way, we're doing a cruise today.
I know. I was just going to bring that up. You beat me to the punch. You have one coming up this coming August, I believe, right?
Yeah, with
2021.
Primetime Travel. That's also available on my website. Every year I do a cruise with Primetime Travel.
Yep.
Susan Camuso, wonderful lady, just marvelous lady. And we do a cruise every year. And normally we'll take friends of mine. Normally have a DJ come with me. I had Chris Anthony, I had the legendary Jerry DeMeo. Most people know from the Surf Club and all around New Jersey.
Yep.
Wonderful
Very
guy.
familiar with Jerry. Yep.
I know Jerry 50 years, literally. Kids together. And so normally we'll bring along an act of that nature. But Tony Test of the Duprees always said to me, he says, you know, we got to do something together. And I said, yeah, we got to try to do something. And then one day I was having lunch with Susan of Primetime Travel, and I says, you know, I got an idea. I think, why don't we bring the Duprees on our next cruise? And she just fell off the chair. She said, you think that could happen? I said, let's call Tony and find out.
There you go.
And we made it happen. So we're going to do that August 8th to the 15th on Norwegian Joy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. Thank you for letting me get that plug in.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I can only imagine what an event that's going to be, and
it's going to be a lot of fun. We sold a lot of cabins, by the way, so far. A lot of cabins.
Incredible. It's going to be jam packed, to say the least.
The ship is going to be. I think all cruise lines now they're going to be reduced capacity.
Naturally.
So it's going to be socially comfortable, but we're going to have a blast.
Absolutely. And in addition to that great honor, let's talk about an honor that was bestowed upon you in 2005. You were inducted into the prestigious New York Friars Club.
Yeah, that's an honor of my life.
Tell us about that.
Well, for those of you who don't know what the Friars Club is, it's an old organization started by entertainers like George M. Cohan, iconic entertainers like that of back in the day. And then notable entertainers, George Burns, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Liza Minnelli, Donald Trump, President Trump, before he was president, he was inducted the year before me. And so how that happened was I was performing at Jilly's. And I got to know a lot of folks in the industry. And a lot of folks in the New York Broadway industry, they would come and see me. They took a shine to me a little bit.
There you go.
And they said, you know, we got to make you a friar. And I knew about the friars, but I wasn't sure exactly. So they invited me to the club on a Thursday night. I used to go on Thursday nights. So they would invite me as a guest. And up in the second floor is a room called the Lucille Ballroom. That is actually their lounge. It's their lounge. There'd be a bar there with the red vested bartender, very, very classic and sharp. And anybody that was an entertainer, it was almost like an open mic night.
Gotcha, yeah.
Whoever, if you played a clarinet, you brought your clarinet, and you have the piano player. And so I got up there to sing a couple of songs each night, you know. And they said, "Now you got to join this club."
Yes.
And so I had a couple of high-profile people in the club sponsor me, and before you knew it, I was inducted into the New York Friars Club on April 8th, 2005. It's an honor of my life. It's a great honor.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And speaking of honors, in addition to that, I understand 2020, I know it's been a crazy year, but you were also a nominee for the East Coast Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a great organization ran by Tommy Patillo of the Duprees. What he's doing with that organization is marvelous, recognizing East Coast talent, not necessarily local talent, but talent from the East Coast. All the big stars that started the East Coast scene of music, oldies, group icons, and things of that nature. So what he's doing there to elevate the awareness of the music before all of us that made the sounds of what we know today in music so memorable. Tommy's trying to do something with that, and I hope people go and look that up, the East Coast Music Hall of Fame, and go support it. It's a very good organization. So I'm honored. I was honored to be a nominee for that. Yeah.
Well, that calls for another toast. Congrats to you on that honor. And
another glass of wine.
And kudos and God bless Tommy for organizing that and the great work that he's doing with that.
Yes, absolutely.
To take a step further now as we look ahead, all these great honors, all these great shows you've done so far, all these wonderful venues that you are so incredibly well established at, all the shows you've done, all the artists you've worked with, met, performed of, etc. Where would you say that you see your career going from here?
I really don't think about it, to tell you the truth. I've never actually thought about a path. I kind of believe that life takes you where it needs to go. Just do the right thing, perform well, and wherever that takes you is kind of my path. That's the way I believe. I don't have any, I don't write it down and say where I want to go or what I want to do in my career. I just let it happen.
Basically, let nature take its course.
Let nature take its course. And I think for anybody who's want to start out in this business, it's just believe in yourself, work hard at it. You have to work hard. It's you know, anybody can get up and try to sing a song, but it's not that easy, as most people can find out. It's you got to work. You got to work at it, and natural ability has a lot to do with it. And like in any profession, I mean, my family was in the plumbing business. I was a horrible plumber. My brothers could tell you that. And you know,
they probably wouldn't hesitate.
No,
right?
listen, my one brother John and my brother Joe. I also have a sister Teresa too. Brother Ralph, God rest his soul. But my brothers used to call me Pockets, because I'd be on a plumbing job and my hands would always be in my pockets. I was just a lousy plumber. And so work hard at it. You have to. So natural ability has a lot to do with it. But once you harness that, just keep your eye on the prize, and I mean by work ethics. That's what I mean about the eye on the prize. Pay attention to your work ethics. Don't burn any bridges. Don't burn any bridges. And life in any career will take you on a path that it needs to go in as a natural way of doing it. For me, it worked that way for me so far, you know.
Tremendous advice, tremendous words to live by. I couldn't agree more. And, you know, we talked about your website, GerardEsposito.com, and needless to say, that would be one of the ways, or the way in which somebody that might be looking to book you, to inquire. I know you also do a lot of, you know, local community events and organizations and things of that nature. I mean, you're all over. But if somebody's looking to book you, going on your website is the best place to start, correct?
That's the best place to start, and then you will be contacted by my agent, and it just goes from there. A lot of times on the local stuff, I'll contact them myself, and but that's the way to go. My GerardEsposito.com. Yep.
GerardEsposito.com, folks. Please make note and check it out. And of course, you're also on, YouTube, and you have your Facebook page, and so Gerard is making his presence well known all throughout social media, and of course now as a guest of Sessa's Corner, and again delighted and honored to have you. It's my privilege, and just to kind of sum things up, I want to kind of a little bit more personal, but one last question about your career to this point. What would you say, if you could pick it out, and granted it may be a little bit of a challenge, but let's give it a shot. What would you say up until this point has been your most defining career moment?
The first time I went and worked at resorts has to be the defining moment. It actually was on my birthday.
Talk about a birthday present.
It was on my birthday. It was December 9th. I think it was 2016. I think it was a Saturday night. And after working in a lot of venues, large and small, like I said, I didn't expect, when I arrived at the hotel, my wife and I, when I arrived at the hotel, they gave us our suite, and then it was went down for rehearsal. And I was just in awe of all of that. But the thing was, when they sent me to my dressing room, and it was dressing room number 1, I had to go back to that story, and to see that it was Sinatra's dressing room, and still it's in the same way. They didn't change anything. And just to stand in that dressing room, I looked at my wife, I looked at my my buddy Al Gilio, who was my technician and helps me get along, drive around wherever we got to go.
Wonderful.
We looked at each other and we were like, holy you know what I mean? And I said, I mean, it was just, that was the defining moment. When I said, everything that you work for in your life got you back to this place. I mean, you know, because I took a little hiatus from music, you know, for a while there in the 90s. It got you back to where you are in this one room here. And I think that was a defining moment to where that's going to be hard to beat. You know, it's going to be hard to beat. You know what I mean?
I would agree. I would agree, and that's a wonderful story. And obviously, you know, your time at resorts will continue, and as this pandemic, you know, as things, you know, open up again and what have you, it's only a matter of time. And there's no doubt in my mind that there's so much more ahead for Gerard Esposito and the great music that you bring forth. And we can't thank you enough for the way you entertain it.
Well, you know, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the folks who've come to support me all these years, you know, faithfully. And I'm faithful to them, they're faithful to me. But without their help and support, and none of this would be possible. My future would not be possible. I'm just grateful to everybody out there who knows me, who's come to see me. And if you haven't, please come and see me at one of my venues. I'd like to get to know you and come up and say hello to me, and I'd appreciate that very much. So this is what I do to support my family. So, you know, I appreciate everybody out there, very much so.
And one of the easiest way, folks, to see Gerard, putting aside the resorts and the pandemic, but currently every Friday night here at Villa Vittoria in Brick, New Jersey, every Friday night Gerard performs 7:30. You come for a great dinner and a great show. You can't beat it. So that's probably the simplest way. Or as you mentioned, Aqua Blue on Wednesday nights. But there's a couple of, you know, easy ways right there for anybody out there who may have not yet had the pleasure of enjoying a Gerard Esposito performance. There you go, right there. And again, for all details on how to see Gerard and upcoming shows, etc., once again, GerardEsposito.com, his website, all the information and more are there. So, you know, check it out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, Gerard, we're going to kind of finalize this great interview with just a couple of personal questions. I like to call this is your opportunity to be Sessified. Okay, you can't come on Sessa's Corner without being Sessified.
I want to Sessify.
All right, there we go. That's the spirit. So, just 4 simple personal questions, or I think they're simple. Favorite food?
A Dickie D hot dog.
There you go. Favorite movie?
Angels with Dirty Faces.
James Cagney, of course, a classic. Favorite hobby outside of performing?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I really don't have I call this a hobby because I'm not a very good exerciser. I hate exercising. So it's more of a hobby. Bike riding with my wife. I think that's...
There you go. That fits the bill.
Yeah.
That fits the bill. Not as tough as I think you thought, right?
No. It's a hobby to me.
There you go.
Exercise for her, but a hobby for me.
Favorite actor and actress?
Oh, good question. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think Edward G. Robertson.
Edward G.
Yeah, Edward G. is definitely one of my favorite actors, and I think Nicolas Cage would be another one.
Okay.
I think those two.
And what about an actress?
Barbra Streisand.
Okay.
My favorite actress and female vocalist.
There you go. One of the best, of course, of all time, Barbra Streisand, no question about it. So great choices there. So,
Yeah.
Gerard, again, I want to thank you for this opportunity, this wonderful afternoon, the great lunch that we shared together, this wonderful interview. It's been an absolute pleasure. It was a great way to, spend the day, taking the ride down on this beautiful day. And for you to give me the time, I know you're a busy man, and it really, means a lot to me. And it's an honor to have you a part of Sessa's Corner. And folks, once again, GerardEsposito.com. That's where you can go to find out all about Gerard, where he's going to be, inquiries of how to book him, perhaps for a future event or at a future venue. That's where it's all contained. GerardEsposito.com. And ladies and gentlemen, again, Gerard, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for your continued ongoing support of Sessa's Corner. Once again, to view this episode of Sessa's Corner and all of our prior episodes and upcoming episodes, please visit my YouTube channel under Anthony M. Sessa. That's where all of the episodes are found. If you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel under Anthony M. Sessa. Hit that like button on the episodes, or I should say the thumbs up, and feel free to share. We appreciate everyone's ongoing support of Sessa's Corner. So many more great feature interviews like this to come. I can assure you I will not let you down. Thank you all. Gerard, thank you once again.
Salute.
Tremendous career, and a career that's continuing and will go on and on. Salute.
Salute, everybody.
Salute.
God bless.
Now, here's the star of our show, New Jersey's own Gerard Esposito.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling goes on and on. When somebody loves you, it's no good unless she loves you all the way. Kiss today goodbye. The sweetness and the sorrow. Can't forget, won't regret what I did.